hey, you had great art goals last year, but you couldn't make them work. What happened there? So let's analyze that while you watch me draw this today, and let's discuss why that didn't work for you, what went wrong, so that by the end of this video, you know how to stop this disappointment cycle year after year so that you don't repeat it again this year. Now at the outset, I'm recording this in December, and typically this is when I see all artists either in one of two boats, which is that they're either celebrating and they're online, they're like, oh my God, I was here this point last year, now I'm here. Or they're like, wow, I can't believe that I exceeded my expectations and my goals. This is fantastic. And then a lot of artists, like you probably watching this, are like, that was not me. That did not happen for me, Sean. Or I also see a ton of people that will all of a sudden be in a big panic as soon as December 1st hits, right after Thanksgiving, and they'll be like, oh my God, I forgot about that goal. Let me go ahead and manically work towards this end and doing this thing and doing that real quick too, because I totally forgot about it all year. So which boat are you in watching this right now? And it's because of that, though, I don't think that we ever take a moment to ever have like kind of a post-mortem analysis, which is what I want to create for you in this video. And by the way, to help you out with this, I made a free, helpful resource for you right down in the description to follow along with me. And if you've never met me before, by the way, my name is Sean. Welcome to the Art Mentor. And today we are going to analyze what happened this year that didn't allow you to hit your art goals so that you can design them better this year, you can hit them more effectively this year, and you can sustain them throughout this year and hopefully beyond. How's that sound? You ready? Let's take a look at this first. Starting us off, I want you to hear that the number one thing that definitely people get misconstrued all the time here is that if you're gonna make a really solid art goal for the year, you're gonna think to yourself, well, it's more and it's more work and it's more on top of what I have to do. And then people will be like, well, Sean, I'm doing my best. And listen, that might be true, but here's something that you definitely didn't consider. The first issue that you're gonna run into is that you did not account for your bad habits. Because all the time people think that being more accomplished as an artist or doing something more as an artist or becoming a better artist is a matter of you just continuously stacking more. And that is absolutely false. That's not how it works. Just think of it like this too. Like if you are somebody right now who's just trying to improve, when I started to learn how to compose my artwork a lot better, I had to ditch everything that I was doing wrong. I had to ditch putting characters into big open voids and creating too much empty space and creating really static, lame looking poses. I had to get rid of that bad habit and introduce new habits. And so in the same vein of thought, you need to think very heavily, what are your bad habits getting in the way of your new habits that you want to build? Because you can't build a house on a poor foundation. And so right now, like, what is it? Does it have to do with your mediation and how much screen time you're doing? Does it have to do with the people that you surround yourself with? Because I'm gonna hit you with all this stuff and help you out with all of it today too. Does it have to do with your health and how you're not addressing it? Or is there something else? But really dive deep and ask yourself, what are my worst habits that are getting in the way of this one? And how am I going to address that this year? So while you're filling out my free resource down below, it's literally going to ask you for action steps. What are you doing in order to prevent this? What can you do? Not other people. What can you do to stop it? Because trying to go ahead and promote a really awesome habit when you have a ton of really bad habits, or one really bad habit that's really weighing you down, is kind of like putting a faster motor on a ship that has holes in it. You're just going to sink faster, friend. So if you're not going to adjust for your bad habits, how do you expect to therefore let the good ones flourish? They're always going to conflict. Y'all listen up for number 2 here, because every single year, every single time that I talk to an artist and I ask them this question, I'll say, what's your art goal this year? And they'll tell it to me, and I hear it, I listen. And I kind of like have this immediate reaction where I'm like, that's not a goal. And so let me just clarify this. I hear a lot of artists say things like, I want to get better with anatomy. I want to earn my first client. I want to grow on social media. I want to increase my income. And I'll be like, awesome. Those are all really good ideas. None of those are goals though. So what we tend to misinterpret a goal for is what is actually a wish, a desire, a dream. And listen, I'm a big Disney lover, but dreams don't come true. You need a goal. And so the biggest issue, number 2 here, is that you're gonna make an ambiguous dream. And with that here, this is again, you not defining exactly like what the heck do you need to do. You need 3 things in a really good goal here. So here's what they are. Number 1 is that you need a solid timeline for it between what and what is this going to take place. Number 2 has a very specific measurable income that you can accomplish. And let's just take it as, your goal is you want to get our clients this year. That's not a good goal, friend. Your goal should be focused on you. So what are you doing to better attract clients? What are you doing versus the previous years to go ahead and set yourself up well? That's the secret. If you want to get better, again, at anatomy, what type? Because you getting better at something is always relative to its domain. So for example, if you wanted to get better at anatomy through illustration, that is so vastly different for you getting better at anatomy for the sake of concept art. Because depending on the studio that you work for, they might want more stylized. They want more hypersexualized. They might want it to be hyperrealism. But you need to define it. And again, what type of anatomy? Do you want male anatomy? Female anatomy? Do you want animal anatomy? Anything else in there? You have to be really specific with this. Otherwise, you are just hoping that it's going to come through and that it's all of a sudden going to work out. And now you're sitting here and you're like, this didn't happen because you didn't set the groundwork for why it happened. And I just wanted to be honest with you about this because this sets the groundwork for a lot of stuff we're about to go through. Next, I want you to really consider what it's like around you right now. And I want to talk to you about your environment because even the most determined, hardworking person put into a poor environment can fail. And listen, I'm going to speak to you right now as somebody who literally has experienced this. I had an extremely neglectful household when I was growing up as a child. I also had extremely verbally abusive grandparents that really railed into me and made me feel terrible about myself all the time. And this is when I realized the power of this one, is that you really need to closely or more closely examine what your surroundings are like. And I'm going to put this into 2 contexts for you. First and foremost, your physical environment, okay? Like you probably don't think about this enough, but the way that your space feels and looks and operates is literally going to impact you in your ability to want to sit in that space and create art and work on your projects or not. It's also going to affect your mood. And now let me just go ahead and help you shape this one up here. So for example, do you have a really messy environment? Maybe you just need to go ahead and do some stuff to it. Maybe you need to go ahead and get a can of drywall plaster and patch some holes. Maybe you need to paint up some areas. Maybe you just need to go ahead and you need to zhuzh it up a little bit so that you feel a better vibe every single time that you come in. Another version of this though, I want to go ahead and talk a little bit deeper on this one a little bit later in this video, because your environment is not just what you're born into, it's also what you choose to keep. And again, like going back to my example, those people I spoke about, they're no longer in my life. And maybe you just need to hear this, friend, but just because you're born to a certain suite of people does not mean that you need to keep them in your life. You are under no obligation to stay around the people that don't serve you and your best intentions in your life and support you too. I want you to think about it like this. A seed can't grow in an environment that's not determined for it. It's just like this, y'all. If I try and plant a palm tree up in Canada, it's not going to live. It's not designed for that environment. Just like you might not be designed for your environment. So now I want you to think about this. How is your environment encouraging or discouraging your artistry and where you want to go with life? Because I just want to let you know this too. You're not a tree, and therefore you're not firmly placed in any particular physical, emotional, nor cognitive spot, unless you choose to root yourself in it. The next one you might not have thought about here, but one of the things that I know from making these videos for years is that about 70% of you watch these all the time and then don't hit that like and subscribe button. So would you please? Because I'm here for you, trying to help and support you this year and everyone after it too. And so if you can please hit that like and subscribe to support my channel, I appreciate it. And this is helping you. Please share it with someone that you know. And then, hey, also, if you don't know, there's a brand new hype button right there. That directly tells YouTube's algorithm, hey, this video, I liked it. Please push it out to more artists just like you. If you could do that, that'd be awesome. Thanks so much. And now, let's roll into the next concern that you're gonna run into. So continuing our dive here, now we need to think about this. You designed a goal because you wanted something to happen, but just that goal alone is not actually what you wanted, because you have the actual attainment of the goal, but then the effective shadow goal. And what I'm talking to you right now about is what's the outcome of that? So if you're like, Sean, I had a goal last year where like I wanted to make more money with my business. Okay, what is the outcome of that? Like instead of you saying, well, I want to get more business this year, how much? What would $5,000 a month do for you? What would $100 a month do for you? What does that do for your life? Maybe that doesn't stress you out anymore financially because you've got a little bit of cushion room, okay? Maybe you selling at conventions and you making triple your table cost back every single time you go to a new one is gonna allow you therefore to go more part-time on your full-time job right now. Maybe you getting much better with 1 point and 2 point perspective this year helps you get a little bit closer to your dream job of being a concept artist. That outcome, you want to think so heavily about this, and then let's level this up. The next question I want to ask you is, how is your life going to improve? Not just this year, but over the course of this year plus the next 4 years. So over the next 5 years, how is your life going to improve? Now, let's also, again, level this up even more. What's the reverse of that? So if I were to ask you, let's say that you're 5 years older than you are from this very moment in time. You are not any closer to that goal. And the only difference is that you're 5 years older from right now. How would you feel about that? Ask her, like, be really honest, like, what's that feel like? Because I want that to ignite fire in you. And you can use it either one of those two ways. You can either run away. You can either use it as a means and a force to motivate you to like totally avoid that bad scenario. I know that's worked for me plenty of times and other people. Or you want to go ahead and you want to chase the outcome that you wanted really, really well. Like for me, I never wanted to rely on my family for anything. So the biggest question for you to consider now is what happens if you hit it? How does that improve the quality of your life? And also, what happens if you don't? I understand how this one sounds, and I'm going to explain why it works the way it does in your brain. So the next concern is that you are going to wait until next year, because right now, it's not the right time for you. You're looking at it right now, it's December, you had the last 12 months, and naturally you're like, you know what, John, I'm going to keep it simple for you. This wasn't the right time for me. This wasn't a good year for me. Next year will be better. Next year will be great. But let's hit the brakes here. Let me ask you, how many times and how many years have you said that same exact thing? And so can I just expose what this is all about? There's immense safety in the future. And so what we like to do is we like to put off things that are uncomfortable right now and hoping for them to be more comfortable in the future. In other words, something less favorable at the current moment in favor of something more favorable right now. But what nobody really seems to tell you about, and I just want to enlighten you about this, is that accrues interest daily. And it takes up space in your mind. And it creates a guilt debt in you. And not only a guilt debt, but a potential debt too. And there are so many times where I can think to myself, like, man, if I just started this early, like I'll just give you a perfect example, okay? My students advised me to make a YouTube channel years before I started my channel. And I actually thought to myself, because I started this channel in 2021, what happened right before that? COVID. And where was everybody going and where were channels blowing up? Right here on YouTube. And I literally had the same exact thought to myself, like, man, if I just started this like a year earlier, who knows? And so what I really want to push out to you is just this. There's no right time to do anything in life. The right time for you to do something is right now. There's a really great saying that the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. And then the second best time to plant a tree is right now. So for you, friend, how many times do we want to keep pushing it off? Not because it is indeed the best time, but because of the fact that you just don't want to start it now. And starting, my friend, is not a matter of timing. Starting is a choice, and it will be ugly and it will be messy. But you starting disheveled, and you starting it worse than it actually is, and you starting that comic, and you starting your career, and you starting trying to get clients online, and you starting your improvement and dropping all of your comfort habits is a choice. It is not a matter of motivation. It's certainly not a matter of whatever celestial day of the year it is. It's a matter of just doing it. And here's a good tip for you too. Stop waiting until January 1st. Start it now. Start it right now. If you're watching this after January 1st, don't wait for the next one. Do it now. Why do you have to wait around to have a big party, order Chinese food, and stuff your face for a day and then wake up feeling terrible about it the next day? Just start it now. How about that time? Now let's pick up on a previous note. I alluded to this very subtly, but I want to go ahead and make this a little bit more explicit. And I want to ask you this. Who in your life is in support of your goals and your accomplishments and the things that you want to do, and who is not? Because the next thing that you really have to consider are the people in your life. Yes, you do have a physical environment, you have a social environment, but I really want you to think about this, your tribal environment. And just understand this, you're not wrong for wanting people around you or to want to keep people in your life, or even have you been made to feel bad that you don't talk to people in your life or that you don't want people in your life? Because that's hardwired into us here. We're tribal beings from the get-go as a very primitive species, and being kicked outside of the tribe or being pushed electively outside of the tribe by yourself, that usually meant death back in the Stone Age, okay? But not anymore. You're gonna be okay. And so the thing that I really wanna push out for you is like, who is somebody that is going to encourage you, and then who is not? And so you wanna think about this. Who in your life is a black hole, and who is just an absolute shining guiding light for you? And which one do you maybe not have enough of? Which one do you have way too many of? And so here are a few ways I want to present this to you, okay? Again, to my earlier point, you don't have to keep people in your life. And then the other thing too, I want you to think about this. You might think to yourself, well, I am the way that I am because of who raised me. And so as I've kind of grown into a man and I've also become a father, I've thought about this. I'm grateful for that person's influence in my life, not because I liked it, but because of the fact that they now serve as a model for everything I don't want to be. The type of father I don't want to be. The type of person I don't want to be. I don't want to be lazy like them who just fell asleep on the couch every single day and would come home and do nothing with their life except for surrender themselves to the couch. I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to tell my kids no all the time because I can't afford things all the time. I don't like that sentiment. I don't like telling my kids that. Therefore, I'm willing to work a little bit harder in order to make that happen for them so that they have more opportunities than I had. And now another thing too is you might want to think to yourself, well, who do you need to get into your life? Maybe you just don't have another artist around you. Maybe you want better communities. Let's go seek those out, y'all. Go ahead and branch out into some online communities. And hey, if you're looking for one in particular, go ahead and check out my Discord server. It's right down below in the description. It's a great, awesome place with people just like you. And I would really encourage you this. Start to bring more people into your life and think about who do you need to start to delete and who do you need to start to maybe put on silence in your life a little bit more too so that you can accomplish the things that you want to. Because not that it's totally their fault, because you can't do that either, but they're not helping it. So maybe you need to reconsider that. Next, let's also talk about the fact that you got this really big art goal and you had so much great enthusiasm for it, right? And you are so excited for it. You're sitting down at that kitchen table and you're mapping it all out. And you're like, yes, this is great. I love this idea. This is going to change my life. Everything's going to get better. And now here we are in December and it's still the same. And if that's you, here's one of the biggest things that you probably forgot to do. You didn't break it down. And so many times and so often do people come to me with a concern, especially like in my mentorship, which by the way, if you want to learn about my one-on-one mentorship, you can check it out down below in the description, see how it's changed people's lives just like you. And they'll come to me with this idea of like, hey, I want to do this. And I'll be like, okay, so what do you do about it? And they're like, I don't know. I thought that was it. Like if your goal, for example, is go ahead and make a comic, that's an enormous task. What the heck is that? And so with that, the thing that I want to urge you is that you need to literally sit there one day and just itemize, like, what are all the steps? What's everything that you're going to have to do? Okay. So start with 2. Here's a really easy thing. Y'all just start with the easy stuff. Just think about this. Your brain loves easy. If you just think about it like this, right? Is it easier for you to just launch into something that's totally life-changing and altering and summons an extreme amount of strength, or is it easier for you to just take a bite-sized little nibble of something that's brand new for you so that you have time to feel it out? It's obvious, right? So if you're going to make a comic, again, let's make just a really simple, brief outline, like bullet points, like 10 bullet points. What the heck is your story about? Then why don't you go ahead and you start to iterate on who some characters could be. Maybe they're not even explicit characters that are going to be featured in it. They're just character designs. And then you can figure it out later. And then let's also go ahead and maybe at some point, we're going to go ahead and rough out some layouts. Maybe we're going to do chapter 1. Maybe then too, we want to go ahead and figure out, okay, let's just come up with some brief bullet points of what happens in chapter 1, what happens in chapter 2, what happens in chapter 3. Y'all, so many times do we just get caught up in, because we're creative, we have big ideas. And we only get addicted to like, what's the big version of this? Shrink it. What's just the minor version of it? If you want to get clients for art, for example, okay, here it is. Go ahead, make sure you have 3 examples, make sure that you know what platforms you're being on, make sure that you know your pricing, make sure that you understand what your niche is and what your style is, and then commit to you posting every single week. And if you want to learn more about that, by the way, you know where I am. I'm right here. But if you don't do this, it is overwhelming to your brain. And that's why it didn't hit that goal. It was so extreme. It's so outside the box. You just couldn't handle it. And that's okay. That's not a you problem. That's just a planning problem. But the best part is that we can conquer that. Moving on. Here's something that I'm kind of curious to hear if this happened for you, or if the opposite happened to you. You were going along with it. Maybe you got some traction. Maybe you got some progress. But then you just quit. I don't know. Something came up. Something else got in the way. You had another obligation. You had a familial obligation. You had an emergency. You got sidetracked with a side quest over there. And then you just never came back to it. And now again, it's December or some other time in the year, you're like, oh crap, I totally forgot about that. And so you just quit. And then let's also dive into that. Why did you quit and why did you stay there? If your car, one day you were driving along in it and it just stopped, just dead, would you just leave it there? You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that. I hope you wouldn't do that. But that's what you did with your dream. You like abandoned it on the side of the road like a baby. And it meant something to you, but now it doesn't. And so what happened there is that you had momentum and then you dumped it. And so instead of you going through the habit of you actually starting to do the work, it became easier for you to distract yourself with something else. And so oftentimes throughout the year, this also leads itself into the fact that like we get distracted all the time, don't we? What this really ties itself into is that you didn't give your goal enough gravity. In other words, that it didn't mean enough to you. And maybe that's just because you didn't ask yourself the types of questions that we need to in this video so that you know, like when you're filling out my resource, again, down below in the description here, exactly what you need to do and how it's going to change your life. And then here's the other thing too. Did you not even start it? Did you just look at that? Or did you delude yourself? Here's another popular one. Did you convince yourself that you need to plan, you needed to research a little bit more? I gotta get really clear on this. I gotta make sure every little thing is detailed out. Y'all, it's not gonna help. You're not gonna do anything by accomplishing it in your brain. You're gonna have to bring that to life. You're gonna have to summon the force to make that happen. Because change isn't pretty and it's not easy. But you can do it. All right, now can we approach a heavier topic? And I understand, while you're going through things, life isn't always easy. It's not always kind to you, and it certainly rarely ever gives you exactly what you want. And I'm gonna approach this gently, and please hang on to me while I explain myself here. But the next concern that comes up is that you chose your emotions over your progress. And the way I want to represent emotions to you is as such. Totally normal, nothing wrong with it. But a lot of times what we tend to do is just this is a human being thing. It's not even an art thing. But what we tend to do all the time is we tend to accept our emotions as fact. And in that, what we tend to do is we tend to put a lot of weight into how we feel. And just to be honest with you, like, you're not sitting here like crying yourself to sleep because you're so happy and your life is so amazing and you're so blessed with everything that's happened to you. No, you're consumed by negative emotions. And so let's just delineate it right there for a start. Your negative emotions got in the way. Not your emotions, your negative ones. And I say this because I want to help you because I've been there. I've been in those states where like I can't move, I can't make anything happen, I can't work towards what I want. And of course, you can seek help through therapy. Maybe you need to talk to somebody because you're in crisis. But here's an unfortunate reality that nobody in any field will ever tell you, but I really want to shed light on this. Swimming in your emotions is never going to help you. Thinking about how you feel is never going to move your life forward. Sitting there for excessive periods of time and ruminating on something that is happening or has happened to you is never going to erase the problem. And I say that because it's never going to heal you. Swimming in your emotions will do one thing: help you drown. And here's why. Because you will never beat your mental game. You will never exit your emotional state by staying inside of it. It's like this, y'all. Imagine you were in a pool and it just all of a sudden, just like that, just started to boil. Sitting there, feeling how you're feeling is like staying inside of that boiling water and just going, ouch, it's really hot in here. Of course it is, because you're still there. You're still in it. It's that frog in boiling water effect. And then imagine this, like, you wouldn't put your hand on a hot stove and just leave it there. Of course, people would be like, take your hand away. It's searing. You're like, I know it's really hot, but I can't because I need to feel how hot it is. It doesn't make sense. And this kind of wraps itself up into this, yo. You're going to say to yourself this magic gem of a statement: easier said than done. Is it? And I just want to put this out there for you, because if you held on through this video, hopefully you're going to take some stock in what I'm about to say. That is the dumbest statement that we have ever said as a society. Easier said than done. What a stupid sentiment. Because I'm just going to throw this back in your face like this. Is it easy for you to live the life that you're living right now if you're currently in those places and in those states? Is it easy for you to continuously be in a state of suffering? Is it easy for you to go ahead and live a life where you are not doing the things that you want to because you're afraid to do it, because you're overanalyzing it, because you think that somehow you can intelligent your way to going through every single roadblock and obstacle, and that's creating fear in you? Is it easy for you to watch other people of lesser quality in their artwork, or seemingly they don't have the character that you have, do the things that you wish you could do, because your emotions are holding you back? Is that easier for you to do that? Or is it easier for you to actually go ahead and start to do something? Not even fully accomplish it, but like just start it. Start to make some waves. Start to make some progress towards it. Because if you really sit down and think about it, no, it's not easy. I've been in those times in my life where I'm like, this sucks. Everything is bad. Everything is wrong. And I don't feel good about myself. And if you're in that place too, I empathize with you. Therefore, I also want to let you know that emotions are data. For you to sit there and analyze and understand it. It's not there as a permanent damnation for you to just be consumed by it. And if this has been you, friend, let's learn how to do better with it this year. Moving on, here's something that I'm gonna give you a little bit of wisdom from my life on, and it's something that I noticed. A lot of times, as you're gonna start to do something new, you had a great plan. You had the perfect one this time, maybe even two. This year, like you had it really down tight. You did everything that you were supposed to. And then life came around and said, no, that's not happening that way. Here you go. And so oftentimes what we seem to get is a lot of pushback from life. And this is where you maybe didn't consider the fact that you had this experience where you had obstacles rather than opportunities. Every single time that I am going into some new venture, I'm starting something big, or I'm trying to finish something big. Life inevitably is right there, throwing up obstacles and hurdles for me to jump over and bust through. And it's never easier that way. We would like to think that everything will happen and then just like all of the roads are crystal clear. But inevitably, it's barbed wired and landmined, and there's all these kind of traps everywhere and tanks like getting in your way. Like, it's never going to be a free and easy path for your destination. Life is going to test you, because hear me, you are going to be put through the gauntlet of life when you want to make a difference. When you want to make a change, life is right there to say, how bad do you want it? And this is something that I felt all the time. Like right now, I'm entering my last phase of my dissertation writing. I'm writing my final 2 chapters. I have all of a sudden this like surge of business and all these new prospects and all of this stuff that I all of a sudden have to do. And life is being more demanding with me, and I have to focus more on some things outside of my entire artistry and business. And all of this stuff is coming at me. And I can just think back to like, if this was like 3 years ago, I know how I would deal with this, which was that like I would probably be very overwhelmed and start to crumble, break down. But now I'm just like, you know what? I expect this. And so for you, don't expect things to be easy. One of the worst things you can do is expect things to be easy. And then a lot of times you'll also seek advice, not that will help you, but because you perceive it as it's the easier version of it. And that's never going to actually be the case. Stop expecting it to be easy. Let's view it like this. Every single time that there's an obstacle put before you, that is your opportunity to go ahead and prove that you really want it. Somebody is getting in your way, good. Overcome them. You have something that you're emotionally dealing with. Okay, guess what? That is the cost for entry. If you don't knock through that, you're never going to get there. I want you to view every obstacle like a dungeon boss at the end of a level. In order to get to the next one, you have to slay it. What if you instead started to take a look at it that way? I'm not just trying to blow smoke at you, by the way. I'm telling you for real here. When you do that, you come out the other side of it. You level up and you start to step into the version of yourself that you want to be. Because let's be honest, we can either let the things that have happened to us hold us back, and to be real, nobody cares but you. Or you can let them propel you forward so then you can feel accomplished for achieving what you want in spite of the things that weren't going in your favor. Now you're probably thinking to yourself like, okay, well, if all of my goals were around what you're talking about, Sean, maybe I just didn't handle it well. I didn't design them properly this year. And therefore, I don't want to do it again anymore. And I hear, let me just tell you, the same art goals every year. And I'm just like, oh no, not again. And if you want to avoid that, go ahead and check out this video right here. It's going to show you everything not to do. Thanks so much. And this helped you share with something that you know. See you next time.